Hey everyone, welcome back. So before we really get underway here, there's a couple things I actually want to talk about. First off, I actually did a little bit more research since the last video in regards to the fates of these characters we're playing. I don't believe the eventual fate of Zool, this character we're playing right here, Zool, is actually known what actually ends up happening to him. He is referenced, though, a couple of times in Diablo 3, because you can meet one of his apprentices, Matan, I believe he's called, or something like that. It's the Necromancer you can encounter in Act 2 and Act 5 of Diablo 3. He's also referenced when your Necromancer talks to the spirit in Pandemonium in Diablo 3 and Act 5, who will actually reference the Necromancer, the priest of Rathma, who aided against the primevals, 20 years ago. So that's a reference there. But the one, the situation with the Barbarian is confusing. Like I said, they were going to do have the male Barbarian in D3 be the same one that we play in this game, but then they changed their mind because it was a time difference of 20 years and it wouldn't really make that much sense. So that's why they eventually said no, Sonya is the canon Barbarian in D3. So we don't know what happened to the Barbarian we play here in this game. If you want to see, that's I will say, zooming in on the old Legacy does make it look a little worse, because then you can see the pixels and it just looks like, See, this is how it used to be, because you didn't have this zoom-in feature back in the day, or on the original version of the game. You just had this look right here. So from this distance, it actually doesn't look that bad. It's when you zoom in that's like, but back here, it's fine. So there may be times where I actually go ahead and do this, partly because, well, let's just say I do appear to be having some issues with this. My guess is that they are still working. I've heard the game is not entirely stable. This is, at the time I'm recording this video, it came out a few days ago, I believe. I was letting it kind of like have time, because I always expect games to have technical issues like bugs and such when it first launches. So my tendency is to sometimes just let it sit for a while and then play it after they have hopefully patched some launch bugs and such. And they have said that there are some technical issues. It's not entirely stable, which is why Ladder is not available yet. So they want to get as much feedback on bugs and such and try to optimize it and stabilize it as much as they can before they start doing that. And I'm hoping that's going to be the case. Because I will say, zoomed in, I do like that I can see the grass and such kind of moving around and such. But at the same time, there are times I do have some frame rate drops. Now, as I've said in other videos, I think that has to do with the environment, with grass and shadows and lighting and such. But I don't want to see graphical issues like I did with the hair there, where Zool's hair all of a sudden was kind of a combination of white and black. So, fingers crossed that I won't have too many technical issues. But then again, that's why I may end up just sometimes going ahead and doing this, because then you don't really get that when you're running the old Legacy version. It's only when you go to here that you can see a couple of frame drops here and there. But, I mean, you guys wouldn't be opposed, I'm sure, to seeing the old classic one, right? Even though some of the stuff in this version does look cool. But I'll probably be doing this quite often, just to show you the difference. By the way, when I used to test out running the original version, I would be trying to do this full screen, so I could be able to have the entire thing without these sides here, and yeah, that's where I had some issues, but regardless. The Paladin, we don't know the eventual fate, other than that it talks about how those Paladins were disbanded and such, and the creation of the Crusaders and all that stuff, so the particular Paladin we play is unknown. We just know he was part of the Rebel Paladins, helping us against the ones who were loyal to Mephisto's forces and all that, and we don't know his eventual fate. We also don't know the fate of the Druid, but the one I want to get corrected, I found out, is the Assassin, because the Assassin is actually the NPC that we encounter in Act 3. Her name is Natalia, and this was actually kind of a tease before Lord of Destruction came out, about what was going to happen and her class being added into the game. So basically, the NPC that we meet in Act 3 is the assassin that we play. because the idea was that after the events of us defeating Diablo in Hell, she then joins us, along with the Druid, to go to Ariat to stop Baal. So that's why she becomes a playable character. But her in-can name is Natalia. So just want to point that out. Correct that, because I didn't actually know that until I did a little bit more research. Sorry. Cassia, I believe, went back to her island to go. She became a war matron, a very highly ranked Amazon, to train more Amazons for the eventual conflict. Zul, again, we don't know his ultimate fate, and we do know Ascendra's fate, because we meet her ghost, or her spirit, in Diablo 3. In fact, just so you guys know, I'm actually entertaining the idea of doing another playthrough of Diablo 3. This time, I did consider doing the Necromancer, but honestly, I just kept going back to the Wizard. Because, one, the Wizard is still my favorite class to play in Diablo 3, but also because I love Li Ming's character. Li Ming's character of the playable classes is probably my favorite. Plus, I love her voice actress, because it's the same voice actress who played Azula in Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love that voice actress. Plus, so it's going to allow me to be able to show you her reactions to the things throughout the story, and then eventually we'll get to have the conversation with her. I'm actually trying to see if I can make a video just of the conversations we can have with whoever spirit we encounter. Like, unfortunately, some of them are not really that interesting, other than Li Ming meeting Ascendra. Like, the Demon Hunter, I think, meets her little sister, who killed herself, and then some other ones meet some others that are not really, unfortunately, that worth of note. But the big one is, of course, the Wizard meeting Ascendra, the sorceress we play in this game. But, I just wanted to go ahead and address that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, I completely forgot to talk about in the last video, was the cinematics that we watch. I showed the original and then the new remastered version because I wanted to kind of show the differences. I wanted you guys to see how it was years ago, and then what they did when they recreated it with the more modern CGI. If you prefer the original ones, it's completely fine. I totally understand why. Because I think they've aged well, even though some of the models... The thing is, I'm not too fond of the models from the original version of the cinematic, but I will say they got some of the motions and some of those little things done. By the way, in case you're curious, from what I can tell, they basically just copy and pasted the sound from the cinematic to the new one. They basically just redid the visuals, but left the sound design and all the audio from the cinematic completely untouched. Though I think they may have added that little, after everything goes away and Marius drops the hookah, we see Aiden turn to Marius and we hear him go, Marius. I believe that was not in the original, unless it was extremely faint and you could hardly hear it. But they basically tried to make it a little bit more audible, so that way when you hear Marius say, "Why did I follow him? I don't know, but when he beckoned, I had to follow." Because we have to hear him actually, call to Marius to follow him in order for that to make sense. So, because otherwise when he's like, when he beckoned for me to follow him, we're looking at him like, but he didn't. What are you talking about? So, anyways, yeah. But there's also little differences. I like when Baal sits down. Spoilers, that's Baal, not Tyrael. When Baal sits down, and he's like, "So Marius, at last I found you." And Marius is trying to see who it is. In the original, he just looks at him, and it's like he just apparently hallucinates that's Tyrael. What I like in this new one is that because Baal is sitting in front of a window with a bright sun, Marius is holding his hand up in front of his face to try and block the sun from his eyes so he can actually see who it is. Because how many times have we done that in real life, where we're trying to look at someone or something and the sun is right there and we're just like, the sun, and we're trying to hold up our hands in front of our eyes to try and block the sun and still see who it is. And so because of that issue with him, the sun being in his eyes and it being in the background, I can believe that that helps to add to that whole idea that he thinks that's Tyrion's wings shining to make him think that's Tyrion. It's just a little touch that I personally like. If you prefer the other one, that's totally fine. It's just a little touch that I think looks a little better and makes a little bit more sense. I like the little turn to the side as he says, "The Wanderer," and he looks up at the ceiling, just reminiscing about what happened. I think the model for the waiter looks better than he did in the original, where he just kind of is a little oddly shaped and he kind of waddles off. Whereas this one, he actually looks like, just a regular person and just kind of like walks normally with a little hobble. But anyways, I just think the models just look better and such. And we'll talk more about it as we go through. I won't be showing all the original cinematics. I'll basically just show you the new ones. But I've watched, there's a full video put out of side-by-side comparisons of the cinematics if you want to look that up and really take a look at it to try and see the actual distinct differences between them. Some changes they made I liked. Some not so much. I actually think that the original actually did a bit of a better job of it, or they could have done a little bit more in the remake in order to actually make it look better, but I will go ahead and point that out when we get there. So, anyways, now that those things are taken care of, what do you guys say we actually go ahead and start playing the game, shall we? So, we'll go around and talk to everybody. Before we do that... Oh, come on, say it. Hey, Worf, hey. 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 Hey, Worf, hey. Hey. I'm sorry. I'm just waiting for him to say, "Good day."
Oh, greetings, stranger.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes? Oh, greetings, stranger.
Hold on. You can't zoom while the conversation's going.
Oh, greetings, stranger. I'm not surprised to see your kind here. Many adventurers have traveled this way since the recent troubles began. No doubt you've heard about the tragedy that befell the town of Tristram. Well, some say that Diablo, the Lord of Terror, walks the world again. I don't know if I believe that, but a dark wanderer did travel this route a few weeks ago. He was headed east to the mountain pass guarded by the rogue monastery. Maybe it's nothing, but evil seems to have trailed in his wake. You see, shortly after the wanderer went through, the monastery's gates to the pass were closed, and strange creatures began ravaging the countryside. Until it's safer outside the camp and the gates are reopened, I'll remain here with my caravan. I hope to leave for Lutga Lane before the shadow that fell over Tristram consumes us all. If you're still alive then, I'll take you along. You should talk to Akara, too. She seems to be the leader of this camp. Maybe she can tell you more. Akara is the rogue's high priestess. She sells the few magic items in her possession and can even heal your wounds. She is very wise and will help you if she can.
So, there are some unique dialogues here that you can actually get based on what class you're playing. The one for the Necromancer is going to be up at Geet. We'll meet him in a bit. But if you play a Paladin and you first talk to Warv here, what I find amusing, he says, "Well met, Paladin." What's very funny about that is that this is Michael McConaughey, the man who voices Uther. You know, Uther the Lightbringer, the Paladin in Warcraft. So to hear Uther say to us as a Paladin, "Well met, Paladin," it's wonderful. I love it. This was before he became Uther, by the way, because Uther, I think he was introduced in Warcraft 3, but he was around, like, in lore, in the story in, like, Warcraft 1 and 2. At least I believe he was. He was alive then. But I think the first time we ever actually meet the character of Uther was Warcraft 3, which came out after this game. So I just want to point that out. So then we have, so that's Michael McConaughey who voices Uther, Kel'Thuzad, and Lich King. There's some other voice actors here you're probably going to recognize. One of which is right here. Now, if you guys have played the original StarCraft and Brood War, you're probably going to recognize who Kasha is here.
Welcome, Outlander, to our glorious hovel. I know you're here to challenge the evil that's driven us from our ancestral home. But know this. Akara may be our spiritual leader, but I command the rogues in battle. It will take more than just killing a few beasts in the wilderness to earn my trust.
Sound familiar?
Good evening. I don't trust many Outlanders, but Warreef seems fine. He never says much to me, though.
So yeah, that's Kerrigan. That's the voice actress who plays Sarah Kerrigan in the Queen of Blades in the original StarCraft and Brood War. Not the one who plays her in StarCraft 2, the original StarCraft. So this is Charcy.
Hi there, I'm Charcy, the blacksmith here in camp. It's good to see some strong adventurers around here. Many of our sisters fought bravely against Diablo when he first attacked the town of Tristram. They came back to us true veterans, bearing some really powerful items. Seems like their victory was short-lived, though. Most of them are now corrupted by Ondario.
So, Kasia says, talks to you or says something about you being an Amazon. Like, oh, it's, great to see an Amazon in our lands. Charcy here, if you play a barbarian, he's like, wow, you're a barbarian. So, and we'll be seeing Charcy quite a bit, mainly because she's going to be the one I go to repair my gear, so.
Oh, Kasha's fantastic. Sure, she's a little hard on outsiders, but who can blame her? All she wants is to protect our order. But now that our sisters have turned against us, I think this whole mess has hardened her heart.
If you're wondering, who's this voice actress? Well, she played the Dryad in Warcraft 3. I believe I also saw that she was listed as the one who also voiced Tyrande in Warcraft 3. Not in World of Warcraft, but Warcraft 3. There was some voice actor changes for characters from Warcraft 3 to World of Warcraft. So, but like if you ever hear the Dryad in Warcraft 3, like where is Nature's Call or when is Nature's Call? Yeah, this is that voice actress. But yeah, we'll be going to her quite a bit to go. She's the blacksmith here in this act. We'll be going to see her from time to time to be able to go here to repair my gear, as well as be able to get stuff. Although I don't really need to get any actual gear from her. I'm mainly just focused on going to her to repair some equipment. And yes, I already have 5,000 gold here in my inventory. So I wasn't done talking about my things with the gameplay and all that. I was going to be doing that as we go through this game. But yeah, I hate that there is apparently a cap here on gold. There is seemingly no cap on gold in D3, and it's kind of crazy. You guys have no idea how much gold my dad and I have in Diablo 3 on PS4. It's an absurd amount of gold. I think, what did he say it was? Like quintillion or something like that? I don't remember. It was an absurd number I'd never heard of before. By the way, if you're wondering, oh, how do you already have pieces of gear? That's because I mentioned how I already got this character through Act 1 and then deleted him to restart him for this this playthrough. I basically took all his gear off, everything, and put it here. Now, some stuff I can actually equip in early levels. For example, I could put these boots on. At level 1, I didn't have anything better than this. I could put this amulet on and this ring on, which also increases the amount of gold I get. And then there's some pieces I need to be a certain level. Like, I need level 9 for this, level 4 for this. I need more strength to put this belt on, which has 8 slots for the belt. Level 9 for that. I found this set piece. I couldn't believe it. A set piece actually dropped for me. It's level 2. Pretty, I guess, decent defenses and such. Resistances, I'm guessing. 283% enhanced defense. I'm guessing that's supposed to be good. But then again, this is a level 2 set piece. I doubt this is actually like something to brag about compared to stuff I could probably get later on in the game. level 3 for this sword, which I had dropped later on. What I really liked was the fact that some of these were dropping that had a low level requirement. So it seems like it's like, okay, I can just come right back here, level 2 and 3, and be able to equip some of these, and I'll be in the better shape to go through this act. So now, let's go over here and chat with this guy, Geed, who has something particular to say in regards to us being a necromancer.
A necromancer? I hoped I'd never have to lay my eyes on one of your kind again. The recent troubles in this area have brought out all kinds, I see. Nevertheless, your money's good. A spare weapon, some gold, a small gem is all I want in exchange for the equipment you'll need on whatever quest you might undertake. No, don't be shy. All of my items are guaranteed for life and come with a 2-day warranty.
That bit of dialogue always makes me chuckle. Guaranteed for life and a 2-day warranty. Okay. So that's Brian George, one of the more prolific and well-known voice actors. He has voiced Knight Commander Gregor in Dragon Age Origins, and he's voiced the Elcor Diplomat in Mass Effect. He also voiced numerous other characters in Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Samesh Bhatia is one I know off the top of my head. Numerous others. He's done a lot of voice acting work. He's also done some other acting work as well. He was in Austin Powers, I believe, but his voice acting work is very prolific. He's an excellent voice actor who's done a lot, and he's really good at it. But yeah.
Andariel's demonic forces have taken up residence in the forest as well as the monastery. I won't be venturing out of the camp. So if you need anything, I'll be right here.
Thanks, Geed. I'll talk about these in a moment. Let's meet Akara.
Good evening. I am Akara, High Priestess of the Sisterhood of the Sightless Eye. I welcome you, traveler, to our camp, but I'm afraid I can offer you but poor shelter within these rickety walls. You see, our ancient sisterhood has fallen under a strange curse. The mighty citadel, from which we have guarded the gates to the east for generations, has been corrupted by the evil demoness Andariel. I still can't believe it, but she turned many of our sister rogues against us and drove us from our ancestral home. Now the last defenders of the sisterhood are either dead or scattered throughout the wilderness. I implore you, stranger, please help us. Find a way to lift this terrible curse, and we will pledge our loyalty to you for all time.
You hear that, guys?
There's a place of great evil in the wilderness. Kasha's rogue scouts have informed me that a cave nearby is filled with shadowy creatures and horrors from beyond the grave. I fear that these creatures are massing for an attack against our encampment. If you are sincere about helping us, find the dark labyrinth and destroy the foul beasts. May the Great Eye watch over you.
They will all pledge their loyalty to me. I will be the new king. Sorry.
I understand that Cain is the last descendant of the ancient Horadrim, and that his knowledge of their lore is vast. He could prove to be very useful in discerning the nature of our current crisis.
Indeed. We should rescue him. So, one of the things I made sure to keep, of course, was my the tome I already had, which can hold up to only 20. I've heard that back then you could actually make a mod where the tome had like over 200 or something like that. It was like a really large amount, so you basically never have to worry about it. You know, like how it is in Diablo 3. You know, so let's just say that early on, I would be going back to her to get these. I would save up on Scroll of Town Portals, which you can find out there, and just out adventuring, they can drop. I would tend to go to her for Scrolls of Identify until we get Deckard Cain, because then there's just no point to the Scrolls of Identify. So then we get, of course, the quest log here.
There is a place of great evil in the...
Alright, so now...
The demons in that cave have claimed many of my finest archers. I wonder how you will fare.
So, this is another thing I want to talk about. Waypoints, which of course are in D3, which, have are quite all over the place. And some of them are easy to find, some of them won't be in the same place, but it's very similar to how it is in D3 as well. And they are optional, which I think is great. In none of these Diablo games, 2 or 3, do you have to actually use waypoints. It's optional, which is great if you're one of those who doesn't want to actually use that. Although I've heard from some people who actually tried that when it came to challenge runs, hated it. I've heard someone try to challenge run not using any waypoints at all, and he hated it.
One who seeks that cave seeks death.
You should say that, you should say that like some guy named Kel'Thuzad. I'm just saying, it could sound a little, cool.
The beasts from the cave have begun to roam throughout the countryside. You'd better be careful out there.
Good day. You're a brave soul. I'd sooner thrust my sacred scepter into the foulest carbuncular troll than set one boot into that cave.
So, Gamble, which is basically, I guess you could say, this is kind of what they did back then, which in Diablo 3, basically one of the things that you can do is, of course, with the blood shards. That's basically the Gamble thing that I use a lot in D3, after I've collected a bunch of them, and then trade them into her to try and see if I can get certain kind of set pieces or legendaries to finish out a set, or or whatever. So don't really plan on doing that though, because I honestly feel like I'll be able to actually get some stuff out in the out there more so. But then again, maybe that's more so for end game stuff. So this is the map. I will say that it's pretty good, and it's obviously functions a little different than how it does in D3, where you put it up and then you put it back down, because you can't really move or play with the map up in D3, but you can here.
All who oppose me, beware.
Indeed. So, let's talk about the run button. The stamina bar. Now, at the time, this was a big deal, because back in the original Diablo, there was no run button. You basically walked the whole time, like this. That's all you could do. There was no running around back in the original Diablo. And then all of a sudden, it was something that was added in the expansion Hellfire, but that was not made by Blizz at the time. That was actually outsourced and made by something else. But they liked the idea of that and actually incorporated it into this. Let's go ahead and do this a bit. Why not? I just realized I forgot to... Alright. Up my minion. So I've got my first skeleton. Whoa. So yeah, what I love is that the skeletons just immediately seek out enemies nearby. They just go out and straight up attack them. Which is great. I love that. It basically can help provide a way to be able to, say, have them tank certain enemies for me if, let's say, I'm not really feeling too confident about tanking it myself. Which, of course, I'm a Necromancer. I'm not really I'm not a Paladin or a Barbarian who probably could be able to do that better than a Necromancer could. So now you'll notice I'm back to walking again because the stamina bar. Yeah. Shrines are here. Stamina shrine. Oh, now I can just run for a long time. Forgive me, this is my usual style, even in not just in this game, but also in Diablo 3, is to just fill out the entire map. I really enjoyed just filling out the entire map to see what's out here. What in the world? What was that? Is it no surprise I'm actually having better, more stable time playing the Legacy version compared to this, this version, where I seem to be having some issues? Gem! Huh, a large charm. More stamina. Boots. I already have better boots than that equipped. Oh, I just realized I leveled. See, this is one thing. It's down here, whereas here it's like, oh, hey. We're going to go ahead and put a point into that right there, so that way I don't lose that point when I switch weapons. I'm going to start upping my strength so I can equip better gear. Let's go back to the encampment real quick now that I'm level 2. Don't mind my skeleton, everyone. He's with me. He works for me. Alright, so now I can put that on. Okay. I may give the Bomazon build a try someday, because I've seen some stuff where it seems pretty fun and effective, but oh gosh, I do not look forward to having to fill up these slots here with ammo. Health shrine, and there's the Den of Evil. Alright, let's check out down here real quick. So this appears to still be part of the Bloodmoor. Two skeletons! Stamina potion. Alright, so that's, Flavy or Flavy?
Turn back. I can tell that you need more experience to fight safely in the next wilderness. Halt. You should complete Akara's quest before venturing further. Search for the den in the wilderness closer to camp.
So that's a little warning, like, hey, you haven't leveled up enough or done more in order to be able to progress. So it's worth noting you can absolutely ignore her and just continue on if you want. But it's one of those like, hey, hold up, you haven't finished the tutorial and done the opening quest. You should go back and take care of that before moving on to the next area. So, you see what I'm talking about? I stood here talking to her, and my skeletons took care of all these enemies right here on their own. That's why I love this build. Why I love playing a summoner Necromancer. And just having a whole bunch of skeletons just wipe out all my enemies. It's going to be even better when we start adding skeletal mages and golems. Or a golem. I don't believe you can actually have more than one golem. Can you tell this is like legit the first time I'm actually playing through this game? You know, you want to actually like see the updated, you know, graphics and all that, but then you start having some frame rate drops out here because, well, you know, it's either not entirely optimized all that well, or the environments continue to give me issues on my machine. I still haven't figured out how to fix it, so. I still got 12 keys. I'm gonna go ahead and use this one here. Pick up some extra stuff from my stash now that I'm level 3, including this. I still need more strength. I can put this belt on now and get some more slots to my belt for potions. That's nice. So now I have more room in my inventory. Also go ahead and start putting some stuff back here into personal. I actually meant to go ahead and move all this back over to personal, sorry. I just realized I probably should have done this. Gone ahead and just moved stuff to personal. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put these in here for now. No point in carrying around the sword until the next level, since I still need 33 strength in order to be able to carry that around. And once I hit the next level, I can equip that, so... Some of these potions I can go ahead and just kind of stash away for now, because I now have a 8-slot belt on. We have plenty of potions there. Plus, you can see plenty of potions are dropping out in the field, so it's not really that big a deal. So, this also will help me have some more room for any loot I get out there. So, okay.
I sense death within this place.
Always got to get the shamans first, since they keep rezzing. Of course, in this den of evil, we will encounter our first higher ranked enemy. There he is, right there. Corpse Fire! The first one you always encounter. Go get him, skeletons. Ah! Skeletons! Defend me! Defend your master! There we go. So you can see, like, some of the things, like, the next level I get here will allow me to... It's still 3 skeletons, but they are getting damage boosts. Stat buffs, actually. Here, Skeleton Mastery increases their life and their damage. They get extra life, extra damage, Magi life, Monster's life, Monster's damage. It basically applies to all that, so... What the...
Not enough mana.
I was like, wait, what happened to my skeletons? Alright. Well, strength. Here we go. Just want to get the strength to be able to equip some of the other stuff, so. 4 enemies left. Oh. That's what happened to them.
Mana.
Ah. Okay.
Is that enough to earn the rogue's trust?
Okay. So now that we're at the next level. Spring there. Still don't have the strength to equip this. That's disappointing.
You have cleansed the den of evil. You've earned my trust, and may yet restore my faith in humanity. Your reward is training in the skill of your choice.
Extra skill point, which is nice early on. So, I also forgot to talk about some other abilities, especially in this tree right here. Teeth, bone, armor. I actually should go ahead and grab that to give myself a little bit of extra defensive capability. Corpse explosion. So, I have heard that there was a point in time where corpse explosion was ludicrously overpowered. Like, it was like probably the most overpowered thing this game had ever seen. They nerfed that into the ground. They were like, all right, it's way too effective. Bring it down. Bring it down. What's funny is, while I'm pretty sure this is, they made sure to keep that nerfed for this remaster, there is a way to actually kind of relive what it used to be in Diablo 3. I've actually experienced this in Diablo 3 on a Necromancer with a set or a legendary that actually made corpse explosions damage absurd. And it was just kind of like, oh, so this is what I've heard about in Diablo 2 when corpse explosion was ridiculously overpowered. I think I've seen some people saying Bone Wall is nice, I guess, for crowd control and such. There's, of course, Bone Prison. I'm aware of that. He's got that in Heroes of the Storm. Bone Spear, of course, very iconic. Poison. I've heard that Poisonmancer can actually be pretty effective, except against undead, because you can't poison them. So. But we can go ahead and do that. By the way, you can go ahead and bind these two F keys. Go ahead and do that there. In case you're wondering. That's how it looks.
The Order welcomes you. Kasha has always been fiercely loyal, but I fear her anger and frustration over these recent events will lead her into harm's way. She is highly protective of the few rogues remaining under her command, and will not send them into combat unless there is dire need.
What cow level? I don't know what you guys are talking about. There is no cow level.
Hello.
Hey, Kasha. You're just like, no, I'm not going to follow you. Come on, Kasha. Come on. I'm right here. Come on. I guess because she already said hello. Alright.
My rogue scouts have just reported an abomination in the monastery graveyard. Apparently, Andariel is not content to take only our living. Bloodraven, one of our finest captains in the battle against Diablo at Tristram, was also one of the first to be corrupted by Andariel. Now you'll find her in the monastery graveyard, raising our dead as zombies. We cannot abide this defilement. If you are truly our ally, you will help us destroy her. Death has done nothing to weaken Bloodraven's combat skills. If anything, she's more deadly than ever.
So,
Bloodraven fought valiantly against Diablo in the catacombs beneath Tristram. She was never quite the same afterwards. It is now obvious she brought an evil influence back with her.
So yeah, this is the fate of the rogue that we could play back in the original Diablo. Remember, there were 3 classes we could play: warrior, mage, and rogue. We know the fate of the warrior because he's the wanderer we're chasing. This is the fate of the rogue from Diablo 1. We're about to go face her because she's been corrupted and turned.
What you need? Bloodraven was the leader of a rogue band that once fought Diablo at Tristram.
Where can I take you? How can one kill what is already dead?
How do you kill that? How does one kill that which has no life?
Yes? I'm sorry. The undead are bad for trade. I have a strict no-return policy.
You know, believe it or not, I'm actually contemplating, because of some of the... This is how much the frame rate drops at times, start to bother me. As much as I do like seeing how cool the updated, presentation is with the graphics and the models as well. I think the models, despite what some have said with some of the controversial stuff, I like the upgraded models, but that's because, well... compared to this, which is like, like, I'm just saying, it's like, here it's just like, okay, and then they're doing this just kind of stiff walking here, just, whereas here you can actually see, like them actually moving like, a person would move, compared to But if it continues to have these kind of frame rate drops when we go to this because of the, I guess, the environment and such, because you can see, like, here, the grass is moving and such, you can see the fire and the smoke, and then here, not so much. But that's to be expected because, remember, this game came out over 20 years ago, so you can even see the town portal. Look at the town portal. Look at how cool that looks. And then here. Again, I love this feature. I love that this is a thing. If we couldn't switch back and forth, I would be irritated and be like, really? You couldn't pull that off? But I just love that this actually is a feature because it allows people to check this game out for the first time and be able to see what it actually used to be like. They could even play through the entire game like this if they wanted to. Now, this is how it is on PC. I have yet to see what it's like and how it functions and works on consoles, which I could do on my own. Because I could be able to purchase it on PS4. You can even play this on PlayStation 5, which I think is actually really cool. And I think it's a fantastic move to be able to have them available on the newest consoles so that it can allow a whole new audience that didn't get to play it back then or couldn't have because maybe they didn't have PCs, they only had access to consoles, and probably in the same situation nowadays because the thing we have to remember is not everyone is able to actually get access to a decent gaming PC, but they can be able to get hands on a console. I know some people have very strong opinions about this whole topic, but I am in favor of the idea of, don't you want more people to actually get to experience this game that you talk about how much you love? Like, don't you want to be able to share it with more people? Don't you want more people to be able to actually have the opportunity to actually play it? I mean, if you're saying no, then I would really want to know why. Like, why would you want to close out a whole audience away from being able to have the chance and opportunity to actually play a game that you love? That doesn't really make sense to me. I say let's, open it up and make it more accessible to a much larger audience so they can be able to actually try it out. So I think having them on consoles and having cross progression is a great idea. I don't know if there's actual cross-play. I doubt it. Like they're able to do with Overwatch, because you can do that with Overwatch. I do that myself. I play here on my PC nowadays. I used to play on PS4 with other friends that were on PS4, and I kind of got them into the game, and they still play on PS4 now. But I can play with them now, even if they're playing on PS4, I can play with them on PC because of the cross-play that they added in Overwatch. So it is possible for them to do something like that. I just don't know if they're ever actually going to do that for Diablo 2. They never did that for Diablo 3. Maybe it's possible, because I've heard that if they do plan on adding new features to Diablo 2 Resurrected, that I just love seeing my skeletons just kind of running around the camp. If they do plan on adding more features for Diablo 2 Resurrected, I'm guessing it's probably not going to be until later. Probably when some of the bugs and stability issues are taken care of, because as you can see, when I switch back, it tends to lag there a bit, and, well, there's still clearly some issues. But here, it seems to run completely fine, which makes complete and total sense. If it couldn't run this game, in this version of the game, I would be like, what in the world is going on? But yeah, so who knows, we may end up actually just doing this old classic look, which, hey, I'm sure some of you may not be opposed to that. Yeah, so we have cleared the Den of Evil, and when we return, we will be going after the rogue from Diablo 1, Bloodraven. Stay tuned.